Gods like Indra, etc., Brahma, Varuna, have all faced challenges, were insecure, including Yamadharmaraj. Yamadharmaraj was cursed and became Vidura. Yamadharmaraj was cursed and became Vidura. So if that is the case, where is security for you and me? Happiness. One of the most stupid things, what I found in my 80 years, is to expect security in the material world. Gurudev told me once, God and security does not go together. He told, but my Maramandai, it won't go. That is why I'm stopping classes, because he taught several things. I am not able to surrender completely. What is my point in telling people? Right? So therefore, even Vidura was subject to curse. Where is security? Then what is the point in your struggling? Do this, it will happen. Do that, it will happen. Read Vedanta, you will find security and happiness. There are certain people, internationally renowned, have entered into Ganges and never came back because certain things they could not take. Erudite scholars, Swamis. So this is a special topic which probably I will talk when I take Upanishad class. Then what else to do? There's a lot to do. What is to do? Try not to do. Leave all things that you feel you have to do for your security, for your happiness, for your honor, for your glory, for your health. Leave all cares to him. He has his own ways. Take them. Because whatever he gives is good for you. Whatever you are dreaming are the things that give you sorrow. His wish, his care, his love, his sannidhi in you is alone true. Nothing else is true. Then how do I find it? Simple. Find there is nothing in the world other than him. If he is your security, if the world is him, there is no insecurity at all. If he is alone the world, you are not different from him. This knowledge will gradually make you drop one by one of your confusions, concepts about the world, about the God, about the creation, about the you, and recognize that Lord, be with him, then you are secure and you are happy. As long as there is a second thing, there is no security. Dvayat bhayam bhavati. The second thing creates fear. Only when there is nothing other than me, there is no fear. That is what Advaita teaches. There's only one. That one, when his happiness absolute, intelligence absolute, wants to play with himself. There is nothing other to play. Therefore, all his Leela is, like Rasa Leela, he says, Yatha Arpakaha Swapratibimbhavati. As children play with their own shadows, he creates his own shadows as this different world. He manifests as the different world. To manifest first as the different world, he should have the will to do so. That when he gets the will, he ceases to be the absolute, non-dual, complete Brahman. He is then called Ishvara. Ishvara, the same Brahman, with all the potential names and forms in him, like the waves and the bubbles in the ocean, throws them out, like the ocean throws out the waves and the bubbles. Then at that stage, he identifies with all of them. At that time, they are concepts and thoughts, therefore their total mind. And when Ishvara identifies with Prakriti, made up of three gunas, these names and forms are thrown out. These names and forms are initially concepts, thoughts. When Ishvara identifies with them, he becomes Hiranyagarbha. Then from them comes the gross forms. When Hiranyagarbha or Ishvara or Brahman identifies with these gross forms, he becomes Virat. One of these forms is you. One of these forms is the ant. One of these forms is the scorpion. One of these forms is the snake. One of these forms is the jackal. They are all forms of the Lord. Therefore, they are the Lord. You are the form of the Lord. Therefore, you are the Lord. The snake, the jackal, the scorpion, all are you. Whom are you going to love? Whom are you going to hate? Whom are you going to feel insecure? It is only because of ignorance. I myself have thrown out my shadows. They all appear differently. And now I am caught in my own web of imagining myself to be different on identification with a single body, single mind, single intellect. When I detach from my side, my body, mind, intellect, I am Brahman. When Hiranyagarbha detaches from total mind, intellect, he is Brahman. Hiranyagarbha does it. Initially, the Lord wanted to create, throws out names and forms, assumes Hiranyagarbha state, Virat state, he gets bored and tired, withdraws. When he throws out these names and forms, it's called creation. When he withdraws them, it's called the Ashwamedha Yaga, which we will see when we take the Upanishad classes. First, from Advaita, he throws out plurality. When he is tired, collects all the plurality as in the form of a horse, and together he merges into the Brahman. This is creation and dissolution. So when you are detached from the body, mind, intellect, you are Brahman. When Hiranyagarbha detaches from the body, mind, intellect, he is Brahman. When Ishvara detaches from the BMI, he is Brahman. Therefore, all of us, from you to Ishvara, detaching from BMI, is Brahman. This is Tattvamasi. This is Tattvamasi. You are that Brahman. What you are seeking, identifying with different names and forms, and imagining yourself to be Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Brahma, Creator, Vishnu, Shiva, etc., etc. I detach from all of them and discover the oneness of you. Then start playing. Recently, one thought was given to me by Gurudev. One of the great musicians was there at Nambiyaramma's house. Some devotee brought. He was playing in his veena for some time. Swamiji said, enough, because this caters to senses, enough. Even the best of music, best of things cater to senses. It won't affect him. He is the Lord of Lords, but he wants to teach us. So he said, enough. So we should be able to say enough to the best of things in the world. Having said enough to the best of things in the world, having discovered that you are the Lord of the Lord and Ishvara and Brahman, having discovered that nothing you have value in this world, then consciously enjoy the music, because the joy that you get out of the music is that joy of the Brahman. Consciously do it. Consciously, when you listen to music, that creates an atmosphere in you where the mind rests in the self. That is called samadhi. So thus, withdraw from the world first, experience the self, then recognize the same self everywhere, then play with all names and forms. This is the ideal life. This oneself is called, because in the chart it is there as Chidakasha. It appears to be split by our three equipments, body, mind, and intellect. And therefore, to detach from them, body, mind, intellect, you have three different techniques. The Karma Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, and the Jnana Yoga. These are the walls that divide the Chidakasha, body, mind, intellect. And these walls, when pulled down, you will discover yourself to be Chidakasha. The way to pull down these walls is through the three yogas, Karma, Bhakti, Jnana. Through Karma Yoga, you reduce the quantity of thoughts or vasanas which are covering the self. Through Bhakti Yoga, change the quality of the thoughts. Through Jnana Yoga, give it yourself a direction. Any one of them doing properly will automatically take you to that focus or concentration, pratyahara, which is called, and from there the meditation. All of them will lead you there, and you will discover, done properly. You don't need to worry about what you are good at, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Because there cannot be real Karma Yoga without a little Bhakti and Jnana. There cannot be little Bhakti without little Karma and Jnana. So everything has a little of them. So therefore, when you try to perfect your own method, you will reach there through the ultimate process of contemplation. This is why Sri Ramana Bhagavan in Upadeshasara, when it takes the four yogas, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, he says, Hrustale Mana swastita kriya. Rustale, in the cave of your heart, manaha, mind, swastita, well established. Bhakti yoga, bhakti yoga, bodha, bhakti, devotion, yoga, karma yoga, bodha, dhyana, all of them are the same. Therefore, we have to start somewhere. Rest will be taken care by God. You just say to God, I want you, no more of the world. Once you do that mistake of telling him, he doesn't leave you. Sakrudeva parpannaya tava asmi iti yachate. Sakrudeva prapannaya tava asmi iti yachate. Abhayam sarvabhutebhyah dadami. Once you say, I am yours, I shall give you fearlessness. Say Sri Rama. Etad vratam mama. He says, this is my resolution. You have to only say once to God, I want you. He is waiting for that. After that, he won't leave you. You may think you are not improving. You may think you are still the same. Nothing is happening to you. No. He sees to that you progress from step by step, step by step. All your confusions and sorrows thereafter that come to you are meant to release you from your attachment to the external world. He programs them. So it starts somewhere, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. Where do I start? There is one technique which combines all the three effortlessly. Effortlessly. Not difficult. Japa yoga. In japa, there is devotion. In japa, there is doing karma. In japa, there is contemplation of the form. Concentration, contemplation of the form. Also thinking when you say Om Namah Narayanaya, you understand, I bow down to that Lord who is all pervading, who is the goal of all beings, who is the abode of all beings. Thus, there is contemplation too. This is a simple technique. It's very interesting. This Japa Yoga, when you don't know anything, you have not even heard of Gita. When you do not know anything, you have not even heard of the word Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Vidya. People start telling you, do japa. And you also probably try. After you have become an adept in Vedanta, master bluffer, when you become an adept in Vedanta, what do you do? What are you asked to do? Japa. Then why all this in between? They are all meant to give your mind a focus, concentration, conviction. But if you are regularly doing japa, the way in which it has to be done, that is enough to give you the ultimate experience. Bhagavan says in Gita, Yajnanam japa yajnosmi. In all the yajnas, I am japa yajna. Jnana yajna is a name coined by Vedavyasa in Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't say Jnana yajna is high. He says Yajnana japa yajnosmi. I am japa yajna in yajnas. So that is the greatness of this japa yajna. And you will find Sri Gurudev explaining the three: japa yajna, omkara upasana, Gayatri mantra in such detail, where you cannot get all those things in any one book. I tried to Google and find. All of them have said certain things, but all together nowhere they have said. Gurudev have given all of them at one place without missing anything, especially about Gayatri. It is surprising how he has done it, because in those days there was no Google. Where he was, he won't have a big library. Even to go and search in library, he should have got those details. How he got those details about Gayatri? Enormous details in this book. The book we are reading, Kindle Life, is a combination, 3 small booklets: Art of Living, Secret of Action, and Japa Yoga and Gayatri. This one book is enough for anybody to realize God. Read this book, try to understand them, try to internalize them. You have become a gnani, Sthita Prajna. How simple it is. And yet, we do not have faith. Therefore, we do not do. What can God do? He also tried with me, then he left. Okay, next life we'll see. I said, okay, I don't mind number of lives, because I love Chinmaya Mission, I will serve. Okay. So therefore, this Japa Yajna, Sri Gurudev says, it is based on a principle of relationship between thought and form, name and form. You can't say a pen without form of pen coming before your mind. When you say pen, the pen comes before your mind. When you say pot, the pot comes before your mind. When you say Krishna, Krishna comes before your mind. When you say Rama, Rama comes before your mind. And the more you say, the more the form comes, the more you think about it, the more you develop love and attachment. The more you think, the more you love, the more you get attached. This is the basic principle of Japa Yoga. Sri Gurudev says, Japa is a training by which the ever-dancing rays of the mind are compelled to behave in some order and rhythm and bring out of their cooperative effect a single melody of repeated mantra chanting. Japa is a training by which the ever-dancing rays of the mind are compelled to behave in some order and rhythm and bring out of their cooperative effort a single melody of repeated mantra chanting. And then he says, a mind seasoned with japa is like tinned food which is ready for consumption after a few seconds warming up on the fire. A short period of meditation can take a japa conditioned mind to unimaginable heights in an impossibly short time. Japa is a training for the mind in fixing itself to a single line of thinking. This is called meditation. Single line of thinking. Sajatiya vritti pravaha. Then he says we cannot say a word without a thought and all that. He says, and then love is not generated where sufficient thought is not bestowed. Love is generated by continuous thinking. The opposite of it is what we have seen in Tita Prajna portion, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangaha Tesha Upajayati. Continuously thinking of an object brings attachment to that object. If you are continuously thinking of God, brings attachment to God. Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam. Thus, the japa in a prayer room, performed in all intensity and training oneself to repeat mentally his names constantly during the wakeful hours, are the sure ways of developing bhakti. You can, through bhakti alone, reach the goal. Swayam Palarupatvat, says Narada Bhakti Sutra. It's a means and an end. But karma without bhakti, jnana without bhakti are ineffective. This is given in a beautiful story form in the Bhagavata Mahatmyam, where all the three were there. Bhakti was looking young, the mother cow. Vairagya and Jnana, the children of this mother cow, were looking dilapidated, too old. Mother cow says, I was also like this, but I went to Madura and became young. These two people, nothing happens. After leaving, hearing Bhagavata Saptaham, they also become rejuvenated. That is the power of bhakti. Swayam Palarupatva. The supreme reality is experienced through meditation alone, but the boat to reach the goal is rigged with practice of devotion through japa. In meditation, one is wingless if one has not acquired the decent share of concentration power and a perfect knowledge how to fix one's mind at will at a single point for some length of time. Meditation is keeping the mind hitched on to one line of thought. So that is japa. There's a lot here. Even if I read, you can't concentrate because reading one or two sentences is okay. So let me try to explain certain features of the japa, what I remember from Sri Gurudev. Whatever I am talking is all heard from Gurudev. Because some of them are not in this book, you need not think they are my own. They are all Gurudev's. So japa, firstly let me tell you, Sri Gurudev doesn't need any sadhana. He is Ishvara. Why does he need any sadhana? till the end, whenever he was traveling in a car or in a plane, when he is not doing anything, you can see him counting the beats, japa. Why does he need? Even if he needs, even normal people after some time don't need a mala. But why does he need? Just to tell you, this is what you have to do in your life all the time. Ishvara Smaran. Constant Ishvara Smaran. That's what you have to do. Therefore, you are setting an example of this Japa Yoga. So this Japa, another very interesting factor is not the name. Name is not important. Name is also okay. But through Japa, what is more important is the silence between the two chants. Is the silence between the two chants. Ram, 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 Ram. The silence is more important than Rams. The two Rams are given so that even unconsciously, subconsciously, you will feel the silence, because however minute it is, there has to be a silence between two chants. Silence is more enchanting than the chants. Therefore, to be conscious of the silence through a conscious sound created by you is the real technique and purpose of japa. This is more elaborately explained in the Omkara. Omkara, other than the silence, when you chant Om, Om, Om. Other than that, when you try to do Upasana of trying to understand what is Om, it is a combination of three syllables. A, U, Ma. Before you said Om, there was silence. After you say Om, there is silence. So before it was silence, after it is silence, what is there in between? Has to be silence disturbed. Silence disturbed is the sound Om. Therefore, essentially, it is silence. Silence with a form, silence without a form. Brahman with a form, Brahman without a form. Saguna and Nirguna. Omkara is Saguna and Nirguna. And it helps meditation, contemplation through thinking about A-U-Ma. In every language, A is the first letter. In any language, because without opening the mouth, you cannot utter a word. So, A. When you close, M. In between the vibration is U. A, U, Ma. So what does it mean? Omkara, in it has all the sounds possible in the world. Therefore, all the words, and therefore all names, therefore all forms, therefore the entire world is there in Omkara. A is the first letter, therefore waking. M is the last letter, therefore deep sleep. U is the in-between vibration, dream. Before A, there was silence. In between A, U, there is silence. Between U and M, there is silence. After M, there is silence. Silence runs through Auma. Auma are expressions of the silence. Brahman runs through all the names and forms. Brahman is the essence of all the names and forms. Recognize the silence in between the words. Recognize the silence running through the waking dream and deep sleep state. Feel that one who was present in the waking dream and deep sleep, who remembers the waking dream and deep sleep, who is there when the waking dream, deep sleep mutually cancel, who is there with them or without them. Anvaya Vetireka, Avastatraya Sakshi. Yesterday we saw, last class in Tattvabodh, Avastatraya Sakshi. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. He is not Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha or Sushupti Avastha. Stula, Sukma, Karana, Sharirat, Vetiriktaha. Avastatraya Sakshi. Panchakosha Aditaha. So that is this silence. When you recognize that principle of consciousness to be the common one in waking dream, deep sleep state, that which runs through gross, subtle and causal bodies, you have known Brahman. This is facilitated to you through the Omkara Upasana. Therefore, you have also been suggested, when you chant Om, do like this. So when you say Om like that, Auma, you must imagine you are going from waking A to U, dream, and U to M, deep sleep, and then silence, Brahman. That becomes Upasana, and you will safely land in the silence. You will safely land in the silence. These three, waking, dream, deep sleep, are our experiences, fields of experiences. These fields of experiences are called lokas. These fields of experiences are called lokas. There are 7 lokas up, 7 lokas down. Bhurbhuvasuha, the first 3 lokas. And down also, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Patala, Tala, Tala, several things are there. Up are called lokas, down are called talas. Right? So these fields of experiences, they are 7 states of elation, 7 states of depression, 7 elevating states up, 7 degrading states down below, 7 states Uttarayana, 7 states Dakshinayana. Seven states of spirit, 7 states of matter. You have to see through them that it is the one Brahman that runs through them. They are all expressions of the same Brahman, like Avuma are the expressions of the silence. You have to remember that. Once you remember that, Avuma are expressions of the silence which represent waking, dream, and deep sleep. Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha. You understand that the unmanifest and the manifest are not 2 different things. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivaha Brahma Eva Na Aparaha. When you know this is the entire essence of Vedas. So how do you give the entire essence of Vedas in the shortest form possible in the word? Omkara. He says, Yamadharmaraja says in Kathopanishad, Tatte padam sangrahena pravekshami. I shall tell you that about in the briefest. Nachiketas, what you asked, I shall tell you that padam, that goal, that above in the briefest. Sangrahena bravimi. Om iti etat. That is Om. Is there anything beyond waking dream and deep sleep? If there is something beyond the waking dream and deep sleep, it is Brahman. That is called the Turiya. These three, 1, 2, 3, that is Turiya means 4. The Chaturdham Manyante. Mandukya says, we consider it to be the 4th. It is not 4th. It is not 5th. It is numberless. But with reference to the 3, it is considered as the 4th. Chaturdham Manyante. So this is the briefest of the essence of the entire Vedas, the Omkara. The same Omkara has been little elaborated for our Upasana through Gayatri. Remember where we started. We started with Advaita. We said Advaita is because you experience when you detach from the mind. Mind are thoughts. You have to detach from the thoughts. The best technique is japa. In japa, there are different things: saguna, sakara, nirguna, nirakara. Rama, Krishna, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Omkara, Vedic and Puranic mantras. Then we took Omkara. Now we are saying this Omkara alone is further facilitated to us through Gayatri. Gayatri mantra. Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. 3 lines of 8 letters, 24 letters is Gayatri. The Om Bhurbhuva Swaha are not part of the Gayatri mantra, but they are essentially chanted before the mantra. These 3 are called Vyakritis. Akriti pronounced, Vyakriti specially pronounced. Why? When you pronounce them and remember the 3 states of elation and that which runs through them, you have already meditated on Brahman. This, to facilitate it, you have to shut down your mind. How do you shut your mind down? By invoking the silence in you. What is that silence? The light of lights, the consciousness in you. Invoke it in you. Tat Savituhu, that sun god, Savitu, the sun in you. Varenyam, the adorable. Bhargo, effulgence. Devasya of that Lord. Dhimahi, will meditate. Diyo Yona Prachodayat. We are praying, may you make my intellect brighter, illuminate, so that I can feel you, the Sun God, and the reality behind you also. I will feel you, the Brahman in form, feel the formless Brahman behind you too. This is Gayatri Mantra. Gayanti Trayate. One who chants this is saved from all finite expressions of births and deaths. So Om is attached to this because it's an explanation of Om. It's an explanation of Om. That is why Om also before Bhurbuva Swaha, saying Bhurbuva Swaha are expressions of Om. So this Gayatri Mantra again is the essence of all the Vedas. Therefore, this is called Veda Mata, mother of Vedas. Veda Mata. This mantra is called Veda Matra. Bhumkara is said, Chando Bhyah Rushabha. In Taittiriya Upanishad, Rushabha means the best. Amongst Chandas means Vedas. Same is said about Gayatri. They are not two different things. So, this Gayatri is addressed to Sun God because he is the life giver. Means addressed to Brahman in you. Because that's the light that illumines all the worlds. Sun God illumines all the worlds. When Sun God appears, all darkness goes. When this consciousness is felt, all ignorance goes. Invoking Sun God destroys ignorance, means destroys duality, multiplicity, plurality and differences, raga dveshas, etc. When raga dveshas are destroyed, likes and dislikes are destroyed, when duality is destroyed, when concepts are destroyed, you will feel the consciousness. This is given in a beautiful story form. There was an island called Aruna. And there, the rishis were meditating. And these Rakshasas, Mandeha, mind and body, mind and body are Mandehas. The likes and dislikes, they come and disturb this meditation. And at that time, you try to invoke the Lord and throw the waters to him. These waters destroy these Rakshasas. Arunam is the island. Mandeha are the Rakshasas. And therefore this island is also called Mandeha Arunam. So these Mandehas were destroyed by the oblations thrown out of their palms. And therefore, the Gayatri Mantra offered to Sun God or consciousness destroys all your negative tendencies, identification with the body and mind. So, this Gayatri is also called Savitri because Savitar is sun god. It's addressed to him. Gayatri is also called Savitri. The meter is also called Gayatri. There are several Gayatris. A book called Mahanarayana Upanishad from Ramakrishna Mission gives all the Gayatris. But the main Gayatri is this sun god. 8 letters they should have, 8 syllables. The first has only 7. Therefore, they explain Varenyam, that ni plus ya has to be split or take womb together. It becomes 8. It is on this basis Ramayana is written. 24,000 slokas. Each sloka, the first word of the 1,000 slokas is Gayatri. Is Gayatri. It has to be chanted primarily in the olden days, twice, 2 sandhyas. Now, it is suggested 3 sandhyas in the midday also. So, you face in the morning, east means where sun up rises, face sun and chant this 10 times. Evening face sun means west, chant this 10 times with all your heart, love. Do not mechanically do it. Feel every word that you utter. Your mind will be purified. You will have the experience of God easily. So this is Gayatri Upasana, Omkara Upasana, Japa. It is so exhaustive, Sri Gurudev has given here. I would have not covered most of them, but I would have covered all that you probably need to know to enter into the book so that you can read for yourself. This book you must read. Try to listen to what I said in the 4, including today's videos of Kindle Live. You don't need anything else. Here, there's only 3 more topics are there in this. One topic is the rise and fall of man in page 151. It shows how from Omkara, the Bhagavan identifying with Maya, first manifests as Sattva, Rajas and Tamogunas, and then from the 3 gunas emanate the 3 gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, together Dattatreya, their powers, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Lakshmi and Uma, and from Rajas come the manifested world, and from Tamas it manifests as I don't know, I don't understand, I don't experience. I don't know to be removed through Sravana, I don't understand to be removed through Manana, I don't experience to be removed through Nididhyasana. That is the rise and fall of man. Then there are 2 other topics. The management of the mind, it is a technique of a mother dealing with the child. Mainly, how? When the child is incorrigible, she silently witnesses, she cannot do anything. Upadrashta, it says in 13th chapter of the Gita, helpless witness. When he is good, sometimes he wants to go to a film, a beautiful boy, mother says, go, Anumanta. Then during exams, he is studying, mother supports, making tea and all that. Bharta. After he passes, he becomes bhokta, enjoyer. And at a particular stage becomes the Lord, Maheshwara. Various stages of your own development. Upadrasta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. This is how you elevate by controlling your mind. And then the last section is the secret of action. 3 essays given to the Secretariat Madras, lovely essays, beautiful essays that you can read yourself. It doesn't need any explanation. Beautiful essays. Thus, through the grace of Gurudev, who prompted us to do this Kindle Live, who only spoke to me in before every class, gave me all the ideas, and who only spoke to me when I'm speaking to you in the class, who alone is the subject matter of all that we discussed, who alone is the reality of this entire world. To him, our prostrations. Om Tassat. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all. God bless you all. Nara.
Thank you.